Okay, I am Professor Kokate Darshan Madhukar. We would start with the chapter flower. In that, first the definition of flower. So flower is a modified and condensed shoot meant for sexual reproduction. Now, first of all, what is modification? So modification is change in structure due to change in function. So here when we say that it is a modified shoot, so the function of shoot is to bear the leaves and it is very large. Now the function of flower is sexual reproduction. So naturally there would be a change in structure when there is a change in function. And at the same time, the shoot is very large, whereas the flower comparatively it is very short or very small. So we say the flower is a modified and condensed shoot for sexual reproduction. Then we have the parts of a typical flower. So there are number of flowers and there is a great variation in the size, shape, form, structure of all the flowers. But a typical flower shows the following structures. First, we have the pedicel, which is the stalk of the flower, and the stalk of the flower connects the flower with the stem on which it is present. When we have the pedicel or the stalk, the flower is the pedicellate flower, and when the pedicel is absent, as in case of certain flowers, the flower is called as the sessile flowers. At the tip of the pedicel, there is a swollen part or swollen portion on which the other floral whorls they are attached or inserted. This particular part is called as the thalamus or receptacle. The shape of the thalamus or receptacle varies. Either it may be conical, as in case of family Annonaceae, or it may be elongated as in case of Michelia, or it may be disc-shaped as in all the citrus fruits, or it may be flat as in case of the lotus, or it may be cup-shaped as in hibiscus, or saucer-shaped as in case of rose. In all, we have the 4 floral whorls which are attached on the thalamus or the receptacle. First is the calyx. Individual members they are called as the sepals. Second is the corolla. Individual members are called as the petals. Third is the androecium. Individual members are called the stamens. And the fourth one is the gynoecium, whereas individual members are called as the pistils. Now, the flower, it is of various types. There are various criteria. And likewise, we give the different names to the flowers. So first of all, we have the complete and incomplete flowers. So complete flowers, all the 4 floral whorls, they are present, and then the flower is called as the complete flower. When one of the 4 floral whorls is lacking, then it is the incomplete flower. Then depending on the presence and absence of the sex organs, we have the unisexual flower, where we have only one type of the sex organ, either the androecium or the gynoecium. Second one is the bisexual flower, when we have both the sexual organs, that is the androecium and the gynoecium. Then we, depending on whether the pedicel is present or not, we have pedicellate flower and the sessile flowers. Depending on the symmetry of flowers, we have trimerous flower, where the floral whorls are present in 3 or in multiple of 3. Tetramerous flower, again the floral whorls, they are present in 4 numbers or the multiple of 4. Then pentamerous, where we have the floral whorls 5 or multiple of 5. Then if the bract is present at the base of the flower, bract, it is a small leaf-like structure. If the bract is present, the flower is the bracteate flower. If the flower is without bracts, then it is ebracteate flower. Then we have perfect flower and imperfect flowers. Here, flowers will have both the sex organs. But if sepals or petals are absent, still it will do, then it is a perfect flower. In imperfect flower, the flower lacks the stamens or the pistils. Sepals and petals, if they are present or they are not present, it will not matter. But if it is lacking the sex or one of the sex organ, then it is an imperfect flower. Then we have naked flower, where the flower is without the petals and sepals, or without the petals or sepals. Staminate flowers, where only stamens are present. Pistillate flowers, where only pistils are present. Then, depending on the insertion of floral whorls and the position of the floral whorls with the ovary, we have three different types of flowers. First is the hypogynous flower. Hypo, that is below. Gyne, that is the gynoecium. So, the remaining floral whorls, that is the calyx, corolla and the androecium, all of them, they are inserted below the gynoecium. Naturally, the ovary becomes superior, as in case of hibiscus or datura. Second one is the perigynous flower. Periphery or around. All the floral whorls, the calyx, corolla and androecium and gynoecium, all of them, they are situated at the same level on the thalamus. The ovary is half superior and half inferior. In this case, the thalamus is saucer shaped, as in case of rose. The third one is the epigynous flower. Epi means above, gyne or the gynoecium, above the gynoecium. So calyx, corolla, androecium, all of the three, they are inserted above the ovary or above the gynoecium. Naturally, the ovary becomes inferior. In this case, the thalamus is cup-shaped, as in case of canna, sunflower and guava. Depending on the symmetry of flower, now naturally you must be very familiar with the word symmetry. Especially in 8th or 9th we have the art or drawing. In that we have symmetrical drawing. So here, depending on the symmetry, we have the flower which are three different types. First is the regular or actinomorphic flower, where the flower can be divided into two equal halves by more than one plane or any plane. If you try to divide the flower by any plane, the flower will be divided into two equal parts. Second is irregular flower or zygomorphic flower, where the flower can be divided into two equal halves by only one single plane, as in case of any pea plant or your ocimum or clitoria, where if you try to divide that particular flower into two equal halves, you can divide it, but by a single plane. If you try to divide by another plane, it will not be divided into two equal halves. The last one is the asymmetrical flower, where the flower cannot be divided into two equal halves, as in case of canna. So canna, if you try to divide it, it will not be divided into two equal halves. Then monoecious flower, where both the stamens and pistils are present on the same plant. Dioecious, where the staminate flowers are present on one plant and the pistillate flowers on the another plant. In some cases, we have polygamous plants which are having staminate, pistillate and hermaphrodite flowers on the same plant. Next part, that is the calyx. It is the first floral whorl of the flower. The word sepal, it comes from the Latin word separatus or separate. Collectively, all the sepals, they form the calyx, which is the outermost whorl of the flower. Usually, it is green in color and it protects the inner floral whorls, especially in the bud condition. Morphologically, both petals and sepals, they are the modified leaves, as we have seen it in the definition. The calyx and the corolla are the outer sterile whorls of the flower, and in some cases they may not be differentiated from each other, and together they form what is known as the perianth, where individual members, they are called as the tepals. Types of calyx. First, depending whether the individual members are separate or united, we have polysepalous calyx and gamosepalous calyx. The first one, polysepalous calyx, when the sepals are free, they are not joined with each other, the condition is polysepalous condition, as in case of hibiscus or rose. Second one is the gamosepalous calyx, when the sepals, they are joined with each other, they are fused with each other, as in case of datura or sunflower. Then depending on the time for which the calyx remains on the flower, we have three different types of calyx. One is the caducous calyx, second is the deciduous calyx, and third is the persistent calyx. Caducous calyx will remain on the flower for a very short time. Even before the flower opens, the calyx falls off, as in case of argemone or papaver. So if you don't observe the flower in time, you will not observe the calyx on the plant. Second is the deciduous calyx. This calyx will fall down along with the petals and stamens after the pollination, as in case of brassica or cassia. And third one is the persistent calyx, where the sepals or the calyx, they will remain on its place even after the formation of the fruit, as in case of the guava, or the most common example, that is of the brinjal, where we have the spiny calyx present along with the brinjal. Modification of calyx. So first is the petaloid calyx. Petaloid calyx, where the one of the members of the calyx or one of the sepal, it becomes large, bright, similar to that of the petals, and so it is called as the petaloid calyx, as in case of musenda. Second is the pappus calyx, where the sepals, they become hair-like, feathery, which help in the dispersal of the seeds with the help of wind, as in case of the members of Asteraceae, like Tridax or Vernonia. Then we have the spurred calyx. So the sepals of the calyx, they become prolonged, bright in color, having a tubular structure called as the spur. The spur stores the nectar, as in case of balsam or in the some of the orchids. The last one is the spiny calyx, where this calyx develops the pointed spines for the protection, as in case of the brinjal. The second floral whorl is the corolla. The corolla usually is brightly colored, and this corolla is having the function of attracting the insects or birds for pollination. Now, corolla, again, you have the different types. First is the gamopetalous corolla, where petals, they are united. First type is the campanulate corolla. Campanulate or bell-shaped structure. This is the common feature of family Campanulaceae. So petals, they are fused, regular, rounded at the base, and gradually become broad towards the tip, like a bell. Second one is the tubular corolla. So corolla here is fused, regular and cylindrical tube-like structure, as in case of the disc floret of sunflower. Third one is the infundibuliform or the funnel-shaped corolla, especially in plants like Datura or Ipomia, where the corolla is gamma-petalous. Petals, they are forming a funnel-shaped structure where the base is narrow and gradually the limbs, they are spreading towards the tip. Next is the bilabiate corolla. Bi, two. So we have two lips, especially in family Labiatae. The corolla is gamma-petalous, irregular, having 5 petals, and these 5 petals, they are united to form 2 distinct lips, 2 plus 3. So we have 2 petals and 3 petals. Hence, it is called as the bi-lipped corolla. Next one is the ligulate corolla. The corolla is having 3 to 5 irregular and fused petals, forming a basal tube and a claw with a long strap-shaped tongue, which is the limb, especially in family Asteraceae. Modifications of corolla. Sepaloid corolla, petals are green, similar to the sepals, as in Annona or Polyeltha. Then we have the corolline corolla, where especially in plants like Nerium, there is a scaly outgrowth present at the inner surface of the throat of the tube of corolla. That is called as the corona. And the third one is the spurred corolla. Especially in orchids, the corolla, it forms an outgrowth called as the spur, which is storing the nectar and it is adding the beauty to the flower.